The retribution for shrinking his own world and acting foolishly based on wrong thinking has become very great. This is the end of the person I admired. I never thought something like this would happen. My name is Amelia. There were two major turning points in my life during my childhood. The first was my encounter with the banjo. In the 3rd grade, I happened to come across a TV feature about the banjo. I thought it was so cool that I couldn't bring myself to change the channel. Then, the sound that it made enveloped me. The energetic and rhythmic sounds became more and more intense, turning into a torrent. I continued to stare at the TV screen, even after the broadcast had ended. I was captivated by the world of the banjo in a daze. It was then that I decided I would play the banjo too. After convincing my parents, I started attending banjo lessons, beginning my journey with the banjo. It was the start of what would become my lifelong pursuit. By chance, I joined a banjo school of a certain style near my home. The banjo is often used in bluegrass music, a genre influenced by traditional folk music, with varying styles and techniques developed in different regions. Another turning point came suddenly in the 6th grade. About 2 hours after having dinner with my family, I suddenly felt sick and vomited. My eyelids swelled, my throat itched, and I felt difficulty breathing. Alarmed by my sudden condition, my parents called an ambulance, and I was taken to the hospital for treatment. It turned out I had developed a shellfish allergy. Indeed, we had crab and shrimp for dinner. Boiled crab and shrimp chili, my favorites, made for an exciting dinner. Allergies can sometimes suddenly manifest after being dormant. My favorite foods had become my worst enemies in that moment. This allergy, showing typical immediate type food allergic reactions, persisted into adulthood without developing any tolerance. Eating these foods was essentially ingesting poison. Despite longing for my once favorite foods, I couldn't return to them. Regular allergy tests showed no signs of improvement. Checking ingredients before meals became a tedious task. While my diet faced restrictions, my banjo skills improved significantly. I was a 3rd grader when I started playing, and when I was in the 6th grade, I brilliantly won 1st place in the junior division of a contest. For middle school, I chose a school with a banjo club and was successfully admitted, even though it was a bit challenging for my academic level. But I managed through hard work and determination. I really wanted to attend this school. Its banjo club was renowned nationwide, and the instructor was a famous figure in the banjo world. I joined the club as soon as I enrolled, being the first choice. The person who welcomed me was the instructor, the prominent musician Evelyn. She belonged to the same banjo school as I did, and had been a judge in the contest where I won 1st place. Under Evelyn's guidance, I started exploring the banjo world with new friends. During my middle school years, we achieved national victory. We competed fiercely against strong schools, barely winning by a small margin. As a senior and club president, I accepted the championship trophy. At the celebration party, generous supporters sent over a splendid crab. I must have looked troubled, noticing which, Evelyn asked what was wrong. I explained my allergy. Evelyn seemed to learn about shellfish allergies for the first time and immediately started searching on her cell phone. After a quick check, she expressed her unawareness. She mentioned how her son loved crab, saying she never imagined a favorite food could become poisonous for someone. Thankfully, there were plenty of other delicacies at the party, so I was satisfied. I suppressed the memory of my love for crab, sealing away the desire to try it again. The pain and distress from allergic reactions were too familiar, creating a strange and unpleasant feeling. In high school, I continued to hone in on my skills in the banjo club, achieving 3 consecutive national championships. The 3 consecutive wins set a new record for the competition. I also achieved 3 consecutive victories in the individual category, maintaining the top position in high school banjo playing. After graduating high school, I went on to university. When I thanked Evelyn for her 6 years of guidance, she smiled and said it wasn't a goodbye, as we were from the same school of banjo and would likely collaborate again. In university, I continued playing the banjo. I got involved in activities to expand the world of banjo, further intensifying my involvement within our school. In my 3rd year of university, Evelyn transferred to our school studio as the head. Evelyn, too, had continued to excel and solidify her position within our school during this time. Thus, we started working together again. Once, Evelyn sprained her ankle. Her foot swelled up, making it difficult to walk. She was rubbing her painful foot, calling for a ride. The person who arrived was a man, about my age, introduced as Evelyn's son, Oliver. Together, we supported Evelyn and took her home. As we were about to leave, after laying Evelyn down, Oliver invited me to stay for coffee. While having coffee, I learned a lot about Evelyn from Oliver. Evelyn had divorced her husband, Jackson, 10 years ago, raising Oliver alone. The divorce was due to Evelyn's intense focus on the banjo, leading to neglect at home and worsening their relationship. Evelyn had promised to raise Oliver well to gain custody, and she did just that. Oliver remarked that it's great to have passions, but losing sight of everything else isn't good. He said he regularly meets and communicates with Jackson. Oliver, who loves crab, jokingly said that despite his parents often treating him to it to get his attention, he gets tired of the crab attacks. I recalled Evelyn once mentioning her son's love for crab. I shared my allergy story with Oliver, how it suddenly developed, the severity of the symptoms, the struggle with memories from when I loved those foods, and the lack of improvement despite allergy tests. Oliver empathized, saying it must be tough to have your favorite food turn poisonous. He wasn't sure how he'd cope if it had happened to him with crab. He hoped I'd recover soon and be able to enjoy it again. Oliver's kindness and generosity led us to meet and talk regularly. Oliver, a university student a year ahead of me, chose a major trading company for his career, aspiring to introduce wonderful products from around the world to Japan. His eyes sparkled as he talked about his dream, which made my heart flutter. The following year, as I graduated from university, I got a job at our school's association office. I continued to play the banjo while working there. The office accepted my wish to juggle both roles. I worked towards polishing my banjo skills and increasing its social recognition. Evelyn's support was instrumental in this job opportunity. She recommended me for my banjo skills, passion, and business management knowledge from university. One day, Oliver invited me out to celebrate my graduation and new job. He had successfully led a major project at work and earned high praise. I suggested celebrating with crab, but Oliver said it would be dull for me as I couldn't eat it, and he wouldn't enjoy it either. Instead, he took me to an upscale Chinese restaurant, ensuring the menu was without shrimp or crab. He mentioned Jackson had recently treated him to crab in celebration. Oliver and Jackson still keep in touch, and Jackson seemed to care about Evelyn. As our meal was ending, Oliver earnestly proposed to me, wanting to start a relationship with marriage in mind. He understood I was busy with my new job, so there was no rush, but he expressed his desire to build a family with me in the near future. His seriousness moved me, and I found myself tearing up. I had fallen for him more than I realized, and so we became engaged. My parents liked Oliver and were happy, and Evelyn was overjoyed, unable to hide her surprise. I heard that Jackson was also pleased. I thought I should probably meet Jackson soon. About a year later, as my work and banjo activities were going smoothly and Oliver's career was picking up, we got married. Our wedding reception featured a special menu without shrimp and crab, which was delicious and extravagant, receiving high praise from the guests. I met Jackson for the first time then. He seemed kind and reliable, much like Oliver. Jackson appeared more nervous than us, the bride and groom, as it had been a while since he last saw Evelyn. We set up our new home near Oliver's family and started our married life. I continued to progress in both my job and banjo playing, achieving great results. Oliver was also succeeding in his work, establishing his position in his department. Though we were both busy, we cooperatively managed household chores, living happily each day. Evelyn was getting more administrative work within the school, struggling to find time for her own practice, which seemed to cause her anxiety and impatience. Our relationship remained good after my marriage. Though we were teacher and student, colleagues, and had become like family, I felt our relationship was changing, slightly due to Evelyn's recent restlessness. Later, I began teaching as well as performing, recognized by the association for my skills. Oliver was thrilled for me, and Evelyn seemed happy too, but her reaction was somewhat subdued, which concerned me. 1.5 years into our marriage, 2 significant events occurred. The first was my pregnancy, revealed during a medical checkup for recent ill health. Oliver and I were expecting a new member of our family. Oliver was overjoyed, nearly in tears, literally jumping for joy. I was in disbelief about becoming a mother, smiling at the thought of our child. The second event was my selection as the representative for our banjo school in a biennial banjo performance competition. This event, where selected players from each school compete, is a significant event to showcase skills and the reputation of the school. Evelyn was also considered for the competition and showed interest, but I was chosen and she was not. Whether this was the cause, I couldn't be sure, but Evelyn's attitude towards me became colder and more distant. I hoped it was temporary and maintained my usual approach to her, thinking the baby might help mend our relationship. Around this time, Oliver got a promotion. Successfully completing projects and expanding profits, he was appointed as a department head, the youngest to do so. I was feeling utterly happy with all these joyous events. Evelyn invited us to a dinner to celebrate these occasions. I was pleased that Evelyn, who had been a bit distant recently, made the suggestion, and Oliver and I happily accepted. Oliver was delighted too, and jokingly said he had a surprise planned, though I had no idea what it could be. On the day of the celebration dinner at Oliver's family home, the table was filled with various dishes. When I saw all the dishes, I froze in shock. This was because the crabs were placed in their respective places. Evelyn, I can't eat crab. I know. This is prepared for Oliver. Yours is special, so it's okay. She explained that the crab was an expensive one, costing hundreds of dollars each, indeed looking splendid and delicious. But for me, whether exquisite or plain, it was something I couldn't eat. The world has advanced so much nowadays with technology. There's fake food that's very close to the real thing. This is, imitation crab, kanikama. Alternative foods have been evolving, and among them, imitation crab, or kanikama, has reached a point where its appearance and taste are indistinguishable from the real thing. Evelyn wanted me to experience the feeling of eating crab to alleviate any frustration. Oliver was initially surprised to see the crab on the table, but after hearing Evelyn's explanation, he suggested that I relax and enjoy. I agreed to Evelyn's proposal and sat down, and the celebratory meal began. Even knowing it was kanikama, I hesitantly tried a bite. Indeed, it did seem just like the real thing, reminding me of the taste from long ago. I realized this was the flavor I had longed for but couldn't have. I was astonished by the quality of the modern kanikama. Seeing me, Oliver seemed happy too. Wanting to experience the taste again, I took another bite, but immediately spat it out, feeling something was off, and threw all the crab on my plate into the kitchen trash. Oliver was shocked. "Why are you wasting food like this? It's just imitation crab, and my mom prepared it, especially for you." He yelled, but I didn't flinch, knowing my life had been threatened. "This is not kanikama. It's real crab." Oliver, confused, checked the crab in the trash and muttered in realization. He confronted Evelyn, asking what this meant. Evelyn, flustered, repeated excuses like it might have been mistakenly mixed or wasn't clear. After 30 minutes after I first tried the crab, I developed hives and inflammation in my mouth. Clearly, it was an allergenic reaction. I spat it out immediately, yet I'm in this condition. If I had swallowed it, it wouldn't have ended well. Plus, I'm pregnant. What if it had harmed my baby? Evelyn, cornered, began to confess. "I was upset that you were thriving in banjo and selected for the competition while I was left out. I wanted to separate you and Oliver, and with a baby, it would have been much harder. So, I wanted to make you suffer and cause a miscarriage," she admitted. Hearing Evelyn's selfish reasoning, I was trembling with anger and sadness over her betrayal. Oliver was furious at her folly. Then, someone entered the room. It was Jackson. Apparently, he had heard everything from outside. "What you did is akin to attempted murder. There's no excuse for such selfish reasoning." As I was surprised by Jackson's sudden appearance, Oliver explained. "It was supposed to be a celebration, so I invited Dad as a surprise. He was concerned about Mom, and it seemed like a good opportunity." Evelyn, overwhelmed by Jackson's unexpected arrival, collapsed to her knees. Even if she didn't intend it, what she did was life-threatening for me. Jackson, a lawyer, asked if I wanted to press charges. In such a serious case, an immediate arrest would normally follow, but since it wasn't public, my decision as the victim was respected, saying it was legally questionable for him to offer such a choice. He admitted he was unfit as a lawyer. Considering the kindness Evelyn had shown me since middle school and the safety of my baby and me, I declared I wouldn't press charges, but would cut ties with her from that day. It was a decision made without Oliver's agreement, but he nodded in approval. Evelyn just wept. No amount of tears could undo her foolish actions. Under Jackson's watch, Evelyn was to seek rehabilitation. His intention wasn't to supervise her, but to rebuild their relationship. Yet, it ended up this way. Unswayed by emotions, I calmly reported the incident to the association. The leadership, caught off guard by a senior member's misconduct, deliberated and decided to dismiss Evelyn. It was necessary to free Evelyn from her obsession with the banjo. I heard from Jackson, who was keeping an eye on her, that Evelyn was now living modestly, looking for part-time work. The rewards for shrinking one's world by oneself and doing foolish deeds based on wrong thinking have been very great. I then joined the competition. The performance was a little difficult for the contestants, who had to cover their growing bellies, but they performed beautifully and won the competition. I was able to further the name of my school. I intend to continue to pursue the world of banjo. Now, building a happy and laughing family with my soon-to-be born child was an equally important goal.